As of today, I've been in Japan 2 weeks. I'm going to talk about how I'm doing and my feelings about living here. Stick around, we're getting into it right now. Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Manya and I am a midlife American who has packed up and moved to Japan for 2 years. This channel is about my journey and what it means. But what I really want to talk about today is not really my feelings about Japan as a country, because I'm not sure I've been here long enough to really have feelings other than, oh my God, I'm in Japan, and observing all the differences and similarities and enjoying just watching everyone. But what I really want to talk about today is my personal life transition, because this channel is not really about the food you eat in Japan or the what stores are like, although it's a component of this channel. But those of you who have been with me for a couple of years, I think you're here because we are in similar life situations and you want me to share what this journey is like. I'm not right out of college. I'm not 23 moving to a foreign country for a year before I settle down into my life of professional career, kids, and marriage. Like, today is my birthday and I'm 48 today. It's pretty unusual, I think, for someone to do what I did, which was to leave my career at the top of my game. I had achieved what I had set out to achieve. My life for the last 15, 20 years has been almost entirely about succeeding in my career. I'd moved 5 times for advancement, 5 different states to move up in my career. I'd gotten 2 master's degrees, and I'd really achieved what I set out to achieve. And as I've shared on this channel before, one of the problems was I was trying to move up again out of my career path, which was in public libraries. I've been in public libraries since 1998, just moving up through that world until I became the library director of the 13th largest city in the country. So it was a big job. I oversaw a $26 million budget with 250 staff and 18 locations. So when I say I had a big girl job, that's what I mean. But I was trying to move up in the city or in a city around where I was living to become what's called an assistant city manager. And I will not get into what municipal government in the United States, how it's arranged, unless that's something that people are interested in. But suffice it to say, I would have overseen multiple departments and really helped run the entire city and not just one department. And I tried in 2 different cities, the one I was in and then a suburb of where I was living, and neither one of them gave me a job. And at that point, I just thought, okay, the option is to keep looking or move somewhere else. And for the first time in a very long time, I realized I was tired. I was tired of moving. I was tired of starting a new job. I was tired of being the new person and making all the relationships. That stuff takes a lot of effort. I think it's easier just to stay in one place and fall back on your long-term relationships to be successful. It's hard to be new. And I was good at it. I was really good at being the new person and coming in and solving all the problems. But the thought of starting in another new city, I hit a wall. And luckily, about that time, Danny, my now husband, said that we had an opportunity to move to Japan and I wouldn't have to work. And so here we are. I left my career, my high paid job to move to Japan, and I'm currently sitting in our hotel room. We're still in a hotel. We'll be here for another 3 weeks before we move into our house. And last week was the first full week of Danny going to work, and it was very enjoyable for me. I just kind of took my time at breakfast. I've been reading like I haven't read since I was a kid, which is very enjoyable. I was always a reader, but like so many people, I got away from reading as much. There just was not enough time in the day. I've been walking and exercising, and that was great in week 1. And for some reason, week 2, today's Tuesday, May 30th, yesterday, I just had a really hard day. 2 years is not very long in the course of a life. And I think intellectually, I know that. Emotionally, it's hitting me pretty hard this week. Maybe because today is my birthday and I'm 48, so I'm 1 year closer to 50, which it's fine. I've never had a hard time aging. I'm fine being in my 50s. I was fine being in my 40s. In fact, I would never, ever want to go back to being in my 20s or even my 30s. I'm happier now than I have been. But I think what I'm grappling with, and I knew this would happen, but now that it's happening, it's hard. I went from being in charge of a lot of things and a lot of people, and I could just tell people to come to my office and they would come to my office. I was just, I had a lot of power, and now I have none. And not only do I have none, I have no structure. I have no job. I have nothing to get up for in the mornings. I have nothing to do. So on the one hand, it's like I have no obligations. I can do whatever I want. And that is at times really exciting. And then on the other hand, I have no obligations. And I mean, I don't know how old you are or what point you are in your life, but to have no obligations is very, very strange and kind of uncomfortable. So how do I fill my time? I think when we have a house and I can cook my own food, I can establish a routine, I think that will be a lot better. But right now, in an apartment, in a hotel room, I'm struggling with it. I knew I would. We could stay in this hotel room up to 60 days as we found a house. And quite frankly, it would be in our best interest to stay in a hotel as long as we possibly can, because we're getting lots of hotel points. We get free breakfast. We get a per diem for food every day. Financially, it would be in our best interest to stay here. But emotionally, I think we're both having a really hard time. The food here is, I like some of it. I haven't liked it all. People seem to love Japanese food. I'm struggling a little bit because it is so much more meat heavy than I thought it would be. I thought it would be very fish heavy, but actually it's very meat heavy. Pork and chicken, even beef. So I'm struggling a little with that. I want to be able to cook my own food and have my own routine, and just none of that can happen in a hotel. So I'm hoping that once we move into the house, that things will feel more settled and more like we live here than in a hotel. But I am absolutely struggling with the lack of obligation. I have spent my life as a public servant, as someone who worked for governments. And whatever you think about government, and I have all kinds of opinions about government myself, and I think that there's a lot wrong with government, I can tell you from firsthand experience that the vast majority of people who work in government, especially at the local level, who run your cities, they live in the city themselves, and they want to make the city the best place it can be. But they're trapped in a structure that is quite often very difficult, very bureaucratic, and sometimes broken. So when I say I've been a public servant my whole adult life, I mean to say that I was very committed to every city that I lived in and wanted to make people's lives better. And I thought I was doing that through their public libraries. So now I feel kind of rudderless, right? Like I'm able to be very selfish, and I get to wander all day and exercise as much as I want and try food. And I take care of Danny when on the weekend and when he comes home from work and before he goes to work. But I'm used to a larger scale, a much, much higher level of complexity where I'm at a dead run all day long. And I think if I knew I wasn't ever going to work again, maybe I could just say, okay, that part of my life was done. But when we go back to the United States, I need to work again. So how do I balance this taking 2 years off, but not getting complacent so that when we go back to the US, I don't remember how to do it. I don't remember how to work at that high level. Like I have pretty broad shoulders and a high capacity for work, and I'm afraid of losing that. I'm deeply, deeply afraid of losing that capacity so that when I go back, I'm not actually able to do the work that I was doing before. So I'm having a lot of fears right now, which intellectually I think is really silly because the whole point was to come here and to take a breath and to rest. And Danny has given no pressure at all to me to do anything. I think he'd worry about me if I spent all day in bed, but other than that, he doesn't care. I can go sit at a park all day and stare at the birds. He does not care as long as I'm taking care of myself and I'm happy. This is all self-induced. And so on my birthday, I'm feeling contemplative. Tonight we're going to eat Chinese food at the restaurant at the hotel because I'm cheap and they gave us a free meal when we checked in, and I thought, okay, let's use that on my birthday. Other than that, I have no plans but to possibly wander around and exercise just like every other day. I'm curious to know if anyone has any advice for me. I'm a structure girl. How do I create structure in a life that doesn't really have a lot of obligations? What is it that I need to do? I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.